My nephew's whispered wish that night left me speechless. It was a wish no grown-up should ever know. And still I agreed. I'm aware of the implications. I understand completely. If you're judging me now, that's fine. If I heard someone else say it, I'd likely echo it too. Yet reality unfolds differently than the narratives we create within our minds. It defies neat boundaries and precise definitions. It's chaotic. It's poignant. At times, we find ourselves doing what we promised we never would. Finally, after years, we feel acknowledged, understood, seeking. Been there before? Have you ever opened your eyes beside someone you believed you loved, only to feel the distance that had grown long before? That was my existence. I existed, not thrived. Scrubbing the same plates, folding the same garments, preparing the same dishes, all while fading into the shadows of my own space. Theo arrived to stay with us. My nephew, 19 years of age, silent, reverent, mourning. He lost his mother, my sister, only a few months ago. We all agreed he could stay as long as necessary. I believed I was aiding his recovery. I believed I was the mature, responsible figure. Yet, two fractured souls may not mend one another. They intertwined in a perilous embrace. This tale lacks my pride. This tale doesn't wrap up with a tidy conclusion. It's unrefined. It's poignant. It stings, yet it exists. Perhaps that's the reason I'm sharing it. Seeking no pity, forgiveness is not the goal. Perhaps you've experienced it as well. Perhaps not identically, yet you might have sensed that pain, the stillness, a yearning for connection, even if just on an emotional level. Even if it's mistaken, if you've ever felt unseen in your own family, if you've ever experienced frightening thoughts, or moments forever lost, you're in good company. Join the shocking infidelity saga. Tales like this are unmissable. They're more than mere drama. These are heartfelt revelations, authentic, intricate, human. If you've ever found yourself unexpectedly captivated, share your thoughts below. Share your emotions, what you might have chosen. When Theo whispered that wish to me, a gentle whisper quivers in the shadows. A change stirred within me. In that instant, I failed to consider. I overlooked the repercussions. I simply agreed. I never anticipated anything extravagant. Never again. Not after all those years of marriage, where even the simplest things seemed out of reach. David, my partner. He was once someone else. When we first met, his humor had me in tears from laughter. Once I held significance for him. I believed I had. Yet time softly blurs all edges. He hardly glances up from his phone as I enter the room. His gaze is fixed on screens, football scores, stock prices, work emails. What about me? I melded into the surroundings. Practical. Known. Overlooked. We have a pair of children. Young adults. They exist in their own realms. Earbuds in. Doors closed. They adore me. I'm aware they do. Yet, they remain oblivious to my presence. Many days I merely existed. Washing clothes. Essentials. 6 o'clock, dinner awaits. Grin when addressed. Stay silent when it's not your turn. Then Theo arrived. My little one. 19. The last time I saw him, he was still a boy. Now he was not. When my sister died, we acted without a second thought. We invited him to stay with us. Complete your education. Stand up. Begin anew. He came with one duffel bag and eyes that seemed weary beyond his years. Loss transforms individuals. It accelerates their growth, occasionally too swiftly. He was considerate from the very start. He carried groceries unprompted. He offered help before I could speak. He absorbed every word. Truly heard. A sensation long forgotten. The house remained the same. The silence lingered unchanged between David and me. Then in an instant I changed. It began modestly. Theo would inquire about my well-being. Not merely a fleeting thought. He gazed at me, anticipating a response. In the quiet of the night, we found ourselves in the kitchen, sleepless and together. He spoke of his mother. I would hear. For the first time in ages, someone spoke to me as if I mattered. David stayed away. He was either dozing on the couch or shut away in his office, headphones on, game running, thoughts adrift. I convinced myself it was innocent. Two souls kin seeking solace in words. Just that. I began to observe details. Small details. Theo's gaze held for a heartbeat too long. His furtive glances when he believed I was unaware. His smile lit up the moment as I chuckled at his words. Cozy. Soft. Excessively soft. I observed another detail as well. I eagerly anticipated those conversations. my journey to brushing my hair before heading downstairs. I selected a different perfume, one I hadn't worn in years. Guilt washed over me. Yet, I felt vibrant. That frightened me. The house remained still as usual. Yet now that silence pulsed with a new energy, silent truths, invisible caresses, lines just shy of crossing, moments existed. When our hands brushed, reaching for the same bowl. Or when I noticed him staring, and instead of averting his eyes, he locked onto mine. It ought to have held me back. Yet it failed to do so. I too found myself lingering, only for a moment, perfectly timed to resonate. An idea. What's the worst part? I understood precisely what was unfolding. I let it happen. In a crowded house, solitude enveloped me like a shroud. Then he entered, and began to notice me once more. Not in a maternal way. Not in the role of a wife, yet as a female. That moment, it transformed everything. He sensed it, buried beneath the surface. That night, the rain fell. A persistent rain, tapping softly against the windows, a whisper that demands attention. A weight that lingers in the air, just a step nearer to the unknown you dread. The kitchen was finally clean. David lay upstairs, likely lost in sleep, the TV murmuring softly. The children sat in silence, doors shut, darkness enveloping them. I thought everyone would be asleep. I was merely drifting, honestly, uncertain. I wandered into the living room. Yet he stood there. Theo, couch-bound, blanket cocooned, an old black and white film flickers softly on the screen. Once I loved deeply before I closed my heart to affection. He glanced upward and grinned, unfazed, as if he had been anticipating. He beckoned to the space beside him. He asked, couldn't sleep either? I shook my head. His smile returned, gentler now. Take a seat. This section is amusing. I ought to have declined. I ought to have turned back. Yet I did not. I settled down. Initially, our words were few. Finished viewing. Rain patters outside. The TV hummed softly, bridging our silence. Slowly it began. A quote from the film cracked me up. He chuckled as well, not for the humor, but for the laughter it sparked. It brought back memories of his mother. I mentioned it brought back memories of when I felt more than just exhaustion. In an instant, conversation flowed. On matters of significance. Forget the weather, not tasks. Yet loss, remorse, isolation. He said he longed for someone to inquire about his day. Not from routine but from genuine concern. I said I missed that as well. He looked at me with a kind of longing I hadn't seen in years, and said, you deserve someone who hears you. A heaviness settled in my chest, as if a hand had delved deep, awakening a long-buried spark. Words escaped me. I merely glanced at him. In that instant, age ceased to matter. Or crimson. Or whatever else the world might shout at us. Two souls intertwined. Within a still abode. Yearning for a voice. That night I lay in bed, my heart pounding in my ears. Not due to the words spoken. Yet due to what remained absent. A few days later he prepared dinner. I returned from errands to find him in the kitchen, apron tied, sleeves rolled, stirring at the stove as if it were second nature. The scent struck me immediately, something cozy. Authenticity matters. A sensation of being awaited. He glanced upward, a grin spreading across his face. I discovered your mom's vintage cookbook tucked away in the cupboard. I decided to give one of her recipes a shot. Years had passed since David last cooked for me. Not for a celebration. Not for a celebration, not even in sickness. I stood there, clutching a grocery bag, blinking foolishly. Since no one had ever done that for me in no idea how long. We dined as one. Only us. The children were outside. David toiled into the night. It was a sensation. Feels like home. Just as I envisioned home would feel. Cozy. Here. Secure. Once we finished eating, he washed the dishes. He inquired about my tea preference. He served it just the way I preferred. 2 sugars, no cream. I don't recall mentioning that to him. With tea in hand, I watched him dry a plate, the question echoing in my mind, nearly spilling from my lips. Why does my 19-year-old nephew seem to be the only one who notices me? No answer came to me. Not that evening. Not at this moment. Yet, I sensed a change within me. A perilous situation. Gentle whispers. A lingering uncertainty I couldn't shake off. I'm not foolish. I understand the appearance of this situation. Emotions unfold. I can anticipate the outsider's words. If only I could express what I'm experiencing. When did I last feel wanted? I mean more than just a touch. I mean observed. seen as more than just the one who handles the laundry, refills the coffee, and remembers everyone's shampoo while neglecting her own. This wasn't on my radar. I promise I really wasn't. When someone enters your life and sees you as significant, truly significant, it disrupts everything. Even if it's not right. Even when your mind shouts to quit. I began to sense it in subtle hints. Theo offered help unprompted. Cleaning with a machine. Discarding the refuse. He'd praise my cooking, truly praise it, as if he genuinely savored it. Not merely sure it's okay, as David always mumbled, eyes averted. One morning I sheared my locks, only a snip. A breath of freshness. David remained oblivious. Silence reigned. Theo. He glanced away from his bowl and grinned. You're looking great today, in pursuit of language. That was all it required. In an instant, I floated, loathing the sensation of feeling good. Yet I did. The following day, I found myself choosing a different blouse. Gentler touch. Somewhat tighter, subtle, understated. Yet, I felt it was for someone beyond my own needs. Then the shame arrived. A wave crashes pulled by distant tides. I'd face the mirror and question myself. What's up? This is your nephew. This feels off. Yet, David's voice echoed in my mind. A dull, weary sound. The same tone he took on our anniversary when I unveiled the wine. Yearning for a moment just for us. Guess what he said? Can we reschedule for another night? Exhaustion envelopes me. He overlooked our anniversary. Once more. I had a meal in mind. Apply cosmetics. Flame flickers. He strolled by, ignoring everything. Not a flinch. I extinguished those candles solo. Alone in the dining room, I ate cold pasta. Silence reigns. Silence reigns. None. Go on, share. When someone enters your life, noticing the small details, remembering your tea preference, and calling you beautiful without asking for anything back, how can you not feel a spark? I had no desire to. I promise I didn't. Theo made me feel seen. What's the worst part? I allowed myself to experience it. I began to rise with a flutter in my stomach. Not his, yet it was the way he stirred my emotions. Vibrant. Each time I smiled at his entrance, each time I anticipated his voice, my self-loathing deepened just a bit more. I'd wander through my thoughts endlessly. Just a moment, convincing myself it was harmless. The following a reminder it wasn't. It felt as if traversing a narrow line shrouded in shadows. Struggling to reconcile who I was meant to be with who I am becoming. I'd see him chuckle with the children, assist with tidying up unprompted, inquire about my day and truly pay attention. This is how it ought to feel. Yet, I'd recall his true identity. Who I was. A heavy dread would press down on my chest. I kept forcing it away. To attribute it to sorrow. Him, my own. Ours together. Yet beneath it all, I understood. I realized it was more than mere appreciation. It was about desire. It had been ages since I felt that way. Excessive length. It unfolded in the dead of night. A night when silence envelopes the world. The rain ceased hours back. Yet the ground outside sparkled beneath the porch light. All were in slumber. I was unable to rest, I mean. My mind was a cacophony. My heart was in turmoil. In the kitchen once more, I cradled a mug, its creation a blur in my mind. I was merely there standing, gazing through the glass, hoping the shadows might reveal truths. Theo entered the room. Initially, he remained silent, strolled in, bare feet and heavy lids, leaning against the counter next to me. I inquired whether I had disturbed his slumber. He shook his head, a silent refusal. He mentioned his sleep had been scarce lately. We paused, enveloped in quietude. He whispered, as if fearing the sound of his own voice. Her absence weighs heavy on my heart. Breathing is painful. Silence was my response. Let his words linger in the space between us. He persevered. She haunts my dreams endlessly. Suddenly, I awaken to find myself here. But she isn't. Everything feels off. His voice broke. I failed to consider. I approached him. I embraced him, my arms meant to shield, to comfort. He collapsed into my arms, overwhelmed by grief. I held him, unsure who was comforting whom. It was nothing out of line. Not at first. A simple embrace, yet it remained. Too lengthy for its own good. Then a change occurred. His hand brushed the small of my back, soft, hesitant. My breath halted. I withdrew swiftly, way too fast. Silence enveloped me. Heart racing, I backed away and ascended the stairs. Sleep eluded me that night. Morning light revealed a changed house. Quieter, not more occupied. Fully charged. Silence surrounded the event. The hug went unmentioned. Eyes averted, no connection. Yet I sensed it. Whenever I entered a room, he was present. Each time our shoulders grazed in the corridor. His gaze met mine briefly, then darted away in an instant. An unspoken tension lingered. Weighty. Genuine. On my pillow that afternoon, a note awaited me. Neatly folded. My name scrawled on the surface in his script. I settled in to read. Thanks for being there last night. For providing me with a sense of security. Life would be unimaginable without you. Times I long for change. No signature provided, only those words. Their presence in my hand sent shivers through my fingers. I read it thrice. I slipped it into the back of my nightstand drawer, under a pile of forgotten papers and outdated vouchers. As if concealing it would diminish its significance, yet it failed to do so. It held greater significance. In the coming days, tiny moments unfolded, small smudges in the limits I once thought were firm. As I reached for something on the counter, our hands brushed once more in a fleeting moment. He'd steal a look my way at dinner and I'd act oblivious. Yet I did. We were merely acting. Feigning normalcy, that we hadn't breached an unseen boundary in that kitchen. That one embrace hadn't shattered all we believed we knew about one another. David remained oblivious. Naturally, he didn't. He was lost in his familiar diversions. Labor, device, screen, loop. He'd fire questions my way, eyes glued elsewhere. Respond with a muted sound. In the meantime, Theo observed it all. He saw the shift in my hairstyle. He saw me in that long-forgotten soft gray sweater. He saw my silence and inquired about it. That night, I opened the drawer and retrieved the note once more. Simply grasped it. Under the dim lamplight by our bed, I read while David snored beside me. In that bed, I felt lonelier than with Theo just down the hall. In that moment, clarity struck. This transcended mere sorrow, or solitude, or focus. This was about unity, a sensation long forgotten. The harder I fought it, the more it consumed me. His presence hung in the air, a ghost long after he departed. My stomach flipped at the sound of his footsteps on the stairs. Guilt lingered endlessly. Yet the allure was undeniable. Amidst the strain, we remained. Us together, teetering on the brink of an unspoken truth. Yet, we sensed it together. We were aware. Time was inevitable. The day weighed down like a stone. Dark clouds loomed since dawn, shadowed and bloated, as if the sky were brimming with secrets. Just as I did, as the day waned, thunder rolled in. Initially faint and far away. Then nearer. He mentioned he might arrive late. Never asked if I wanted to join. No goodbye kiss on my cheek. He walked out without a glance. Only I and the house remained. Theo. That evening the rain poured relentlessly. Dense. Cadenced. Beating on the windows as if seeking entry. Then, all was shrouded in darkness. The lights died with a crackle. Darkness falls. Television's gone silent. The storm rumbles, the house remains still. Candles flickered to life. Uncorked a bottle of wine. His appearance downstairs caught me off guard. Yet it seems we both found rest elusive. At the kitchen table I sat, feet tucked beneath me. The glass warmed my palm. Then his voice reached me. His voice whispered through the hallway. "Are you all right?" I gazed upward. He stood in a t-shirt and sweatpants, hair tousled, eyes reflecting candlelight, creating an intimacy that felt overwhelming, uncomfortably authentic. I acknowledged. Filled his glass. He faced me. Initially, words were scarce. No need arose. The tempest outside echoed our silence. Boisterous, fuming, bold. Within, it felt just like before. We sip. A chuckle or two, that uneasy laughter that escapes when the weight of tension bears down on your chest. Finally, breaking the stillness, he spoke. His voice was a mere whisper, as if uncertain whether he had permission to voice it. I longed for that connection once more. He glanced aside, then returned his gaze. Only once. Every muscle froze. A silence erupts as inner chaos screams for release. Ripped apart. One part of me, the one that nurtured him, shielded him, vowed to be his refuge, whispered no. Yet the other side, the woman within, longing for recognition, for connection, for embrace, leaned in closer. My heart raced. My mouth felt parched. My gaze locked onto him. Why does this feel more real than anything I've experienced in years? He remained still, held back. Not a glimmer of hope. Simply truthful and isolated. Just like me. I froze, unsure of what to say. All right, that's it. Single term, gentle, unsteady. Yet it contained all, he gasped. So did mine. For a moment we sat still, caught in the instant when everything shifted, where the rules broke apart, where quiet turned into consent. The rain echoed in my ears, the candlelight flickers casting shadows on his face. The burden of each choice lingers in that moment. I wish I could say I let go. I recalled my identity, my essence. I dashed upstairs and closed the door. Yet I did not. I desired it as well. Not the deed. Not a breach of ethics. I longed for connection once more. Only once. On that night, as chaos reigns beyond the walls, and the house shrouded in shadows, I leaned closer. I stayed. But nothing happened. I rose before dawn. Sleep came without a whisper of awareness. I remained in the same outfit. Yet everything changed. The silence between us had meaning now, and that terrified me. The sheets lay cold next to me. David returned home late. The garage door opened after midnight. Then came the creak of footsteps above. He entered silently. No observations made. Unrequested. I lay in the dark, motionless, eyes wide. Pulse quickens. Mind attempting to turn back time that refuses to turn. In the gentle morning glow, guilt arrived. Didn't hit me all at once. It arrived in gentle surges. Silence. Submerged. The reflection was too much to bear. Not today. Neither the day after. I attempted to seem ordinary, forced a smile as the kids arrived. I struggled to steady my hands while pouring cereal or folding towels. Yet something felt amiss. Within me all was twisted. Everything felt out of place. What about Theo? He hardly glanced my way. He'd enter, catch my eye, then feign interest elsewhere. His device. Their manual. A glass of water perfectly full. Silence enveloped him. More silent than before. Yet it wasn't sorrow this time. It was space. Clumsiness. Perhaps regret. Unsure. I steered clear of him as well. I was powerless to resist. With each echo of his footsteps, I slipped into the nearest room. Whenever he stepped into the kitchen, I instantly recalled something I had to grab from the garage. I avoided his gaze, yet I observed him in the shadows of his unawareness. I examined his face during dinner, attempted to decipher his quietude. Did he hate me now? Or even worse if he failed to do so. David observed a detail, not all of it. Sufficient. One night he casually asked me, not even glancing away from the TV. Okay? You've been a bit silent. I claimed I was okay. Simply exhausted. Attributed it to the tempest. Attributed it to the weather. Attributing it to everything except the truth. He nodded, drifting into the basketball game. Didn't push. Ignored me completely. That was supposed to bring me relief, yet it only amplified the guilt. Days passed and another note appeared. This one was not resting on my pillow. It found its way into my sweater's pocket. The one I always draped over the kitchen chair. It wasn't until later that night that I discovered it. After dinner I tidied up. Grabbing a tissue from the pocket, it appeared. Creased. Petite. Recognizable script. I hid in the laundry room to read it, away from prying eyes. I never intended to spoil anything. I longed to be significant to someone. Apologies. Only that. No salutation. Unnamed. And signed. Yet I was aware. My fingers lost feeling. The space seemed cramped. Silence reigns. I settled on the floor beside the dryer. Revisit the note once more. Once more. Once more. No alterations to the words. Yet their impact on my emotions did. In those brief lines I glimpsed it all. His suffering. His bewilderment. Yearning deep within. And my defeat. My duty was to shield him. To soothe him. Embrace adulthood. The unwavering force. A refuge. Yet, in contrast, my solitude distorts all perception. Now we both struggled to breathe. That night, I carried the note into the bathroom, activated the shower to mask the noise. I wept. Not silent weeping. Impolite redavits. The kind that rattles your core. That suffocates you. It leaves you trembling. I rested on the tub's floor. Knees drawn close. The note gripped firmly in my grasp, so snug it creased. Gentle. Almost ripped. I wept. Lost in the impossibility of reversal. Retracting it felt impossible. I was uncertain about my desire. I sensed a fracture had occurred. Yet no one else realized it was shattered. Just me, and he. The quiet that lingers between us. dense, pointed, and brimming with unspoken words. In that quiet moment, I remained. What sort of woman behaves this way? Which type of aunt? Those words have lingered in my thoughts daily since then, occasionally boisterous, a mere whisper amid the chaos, yet ever present. Am I grieving, I wonder? Was I in need? Was I merely self-centered? Lately, my sister occupies my thoughts often. That voice, her laughter, she had a knack for calling me out on my softness. She had faith in me. Her hand in mine, that hospital room etched in memory. I vowed with all my heart, I would care for Theo. I would protect him. I wanted to be his unwavering support. I let her down. I allowed my pain to obscure the boundaries, rather than being his refuge. I prioritized my comfort over his need to protect. At 19, he stood on the brink of adulthood. Legally grown up, grief knows no age. Loneliness remains unchanged. Here I am, trapped by an unshakable question. Was it truly love? Or was it something more sinister? It felt soft. It seemed genuine. Two souls both submerged, grasping for one another in the shadows. In that instant, we breathed. Yet that doesn't justify it. Was he really grown up? Or was he merely hurt? Did he reach for me simply because I was present? Or perhaps he was lost, unsure of where to channel all that anguish? What about me? Was I drawn to him because he echoed a lost part of me? He acknowledged my existence. Was it hunger or something more? Yearning for bonds, to feel the pulse of existence once more. I mistook his desire for love as a request for permission. I may have confused his kindness with longing. I convinced myself it was fine. Only once. Only that night. Yet, significant events rarely occur in isolation. And after always exists. A few weeks later, he departed for college, silently gathered his belongings, embraced the children, expressed gratitude to David, gazed into my eyes and said, "Take care of yourself, all right?" And that was all. It's never been discussed. Never. Not a single look. The morning after his departure, I opened my nightstand drawer and discovered his notes inside. Yet to unfold, patiently awaiting. I nearly discarded them. I ought to have, yet I did not. They remain present even now. Hidden among forgotten receipts and unmailed birthday cards. 2 tiny slips of paper containing all my unspoken words. Occasionally I remove them. Trace the folds with my fingertips. Revisit the words. Unravel the essence of my being in that instant. Attempt to grasp my journey to that point. Yet no tidy solution exists. No tidy conclusion. Endless questions linger. I wish to think I was offering him solace. I aim to offer him softness in a world turned harsh. Honestly, I can't tell if I was helping him or myself more. He had a wish, that much is clear. I handed it over to him. Yet, what is the price? Would you have agreed? If it were you, in the stillness of that kitchen, as the storm raged outside and the silence within intensified, would you have made the same choice I did? Would you have turned your back? That night replays in my mind endlessly, reworking it, seeking clarity, wondering if it was love or merely the longing of 2 lonely souls confusing hurt for acceptance. Was it empathy? Was it betrayal cloaked in sorrow? I lack the answer. Nope, all that remains is the memory. Then came the silence that followed. Perhaps you actually do. Perhaps you've experienced something similar, not identical but enough to relate. A fleeting instance of obscured boundaries, yearning for recognition. Secured, selected. If you've been there, share your thoughts. Kindly share your thoughts. I need to know I'm not alone in crossing lines I never intended to touch. Not driven by desire. Not from longing, yet driven by a craving for simplicity, for intimacy, for nurture, to rediscover a vibrant you. Loneliness slips in uninvited, permeates, silently, gently. It slips in softly, almost unnoticed, yet it grows. It expands. Be wary. It might lead you to agree to things you never thought you'd accept. If this story stirred your chest, twisted your stomach, or made your heart call out, know you're not alone. Join the shocking infidelity saga for more captivating tales. Genuine, unfiltered, and eerie, not due to their perfection. Yet they are human. Drop a comment below. Your words might be the resolution another seeks. Perhaps even mine.